Hey, kitty, you can't join us. Hey, everybody. Welcome. If you're there, give me a shout out in the comment section over there. I would love to hear some questions. Okay, so for today's live chat, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about me. First, I am from West Virginia originally. You'll probably pick that up in the accent. Second, I've lived in Florida since 2001. So I consider myself a native. So I've been here this long, lived through enough hurricanes to where now I consider them a chance to drink beer and hang out with friends rather than hunker down under a mattress. And I started writing in 2016. Before that, I was an editor. And then before that, I bartended in some of the coolest places in Southwest Florida. One of them was oh my goodness, I forgot, a resort. Pardon me, I'm a little bit nervous. It's my first time. One of them was a resort down in Captiva Island. It was at the very end. Captiva got hit really hard with the last hurricane, and the resort took a lot of damage. So that made me really sad. I kind of dove into my Shot of Midlife Magic series and my Enchanted Coast series when that happened because it helped make me happier about it. You know, not about the situation, of course, but it kind of brought back the good memories. And that's actually where I kind of started getting my ideas for new stories. So if there's anything you'd like to ask me, feel free to do so over in the chats. And I besides, I'll just sit here and talk. My next book coming out is going to be Mochas and Murder. And I know that a lot of people have had questions. I had some problems. My editor had a personal emergency that's still ongoing. So we're working back and forth on that. You know, life happens. And, you know, I've also been setting up this YouTube channel with a lot of help from my significant other. He's worked his butt off day and night getting it going. And he's also doing some other really cool up and coming stuff that I'll be letting you know about as it goes. And we have a question from Anna. The inspiration for my first book, Jocelyn, the inspiration for my first book was Noelle Flynn. My first book was Sweet Murder in my Keyhole Lake series. And she just popped into my head and would not leave me alone. It was the weirdest thing because I would keep hearing, you know, I'd say hearing voices, but I think all authors kind of do that. About this, you know, this woman that lived in a farm, you know, on a farm in Keyhole Lake, Georgia, this little imaginary thing. And her talking donkey um, really got it. He was right there along with her. And he was this smart, like little thing, but he was, you know, underneath of him, you know, underneath that hard exterior, he was fun and, you know, had a really big heart. And I couldn't help but, you know, love this little guy, and he had to have his story. I'm currently writing the 17th book. If you'll excuse me, the sun is wickedly in my eyes. Of course, the one first time in 3 days we've had sunshine. I'll just reach up here and close those. There, that's better, sort of. I don't think I'm going to avoid it completely. I'll just go from down here then. So yeah, the Keyhole Lake series was born, and then after Noelle, got her day in the sun, then I had Corey Sloan pop in, and Corey's a whole different ball of wax. She's completely different than Noelle, but she's still kind of, she's got that kick butt attitude, and she's actually the sheriff in her town. So, being half werewolf and half witch makes her, gives her a really unique perspective. And so she was next. And then Destiny from the Enchanted Coast, of course, she showed up. And I've got a question from James. What year? I started in 2017. 2016 is actually when I first started writing Sweet Murder. And then I took my time, because I was new, and I was also editing full time at that time. So I could only write around my editing schedule. And 2017 is when I finally ended up publishing Sweet Murder. And yeah, the rest is history. A little bit of stuff you might not know about me. I have a 31, oh my goodness, I hate to even admit that, year old son. He lives here in Florida, and he is following in his mother's footsteps and bartending I'm very proud of him. He's done such a good job for himself, and he's bartending at a higher end hotel, and he's specialized in pretty much everything. He's got his beer certifications, and he's actually kind of he gives me a lot of ideas, when I think about what he does, and he tells me these stories. Since I'm out of the bartending scene, it still gives me, a little bit of something to work with when it comes to the Enchanted Coast and my Shot of Midlife Magic series. Any other questions? Another question from Anna. Oh, my favorite book I've written so far. Oh, that's a tough one. Honestly, I think so far, right now at this stage in my writing career, my favorite one has been Champagne Witches. Jules is my age. She's a little older, so I can relate to her more. She's having a lot of the same growing pains that all of us hit when the kids leave and we're stuck trying to find out who we are as a person again, rather than just as, a mom and the provider. And Jules kind of lets me make up the world that I would like to live in, if possible. Hey, Terry. Yes, my son, my son has the funkiest sense of humor. He's very dry and he's very sarcastic, and he puts a lot of the personality into Max in the Keyhole Lake character, in my Keyhole Lake books, because he is Max incarnate. He's if Max has ever turned back into a guy, he would be my son. And he also gives me a lot of emotional support too. He was the one that encouraged me to publish my first book, because I'm a little awkward and shy, and it was a big deal. James, I decided to write the Midlife Magic book because the Shot of Midlife Magic series in general, because again, I was on the beach and I thought, Destiny is there. She bartends, but she is young and she's still dealing with all the things that a person in her early 20s would. And I was at a tiki bar, and I thought, how cool would it be to inherit something like this? Just find out, boom, you've got it. And then find this secret book and find out you're a witch on top of it. So it was kind of a whole, what if my life was completely shaken up today and I became this whole new person? A lot of that was in with the, still learning who I am as, an adult and as an aging adult. And so, yeah, that was my inspiration for that series. Plus hot werewolves. Everybody loves a hot werewolf, and the idea of kind of you're your own strong woman and finding a man that can respect that, and not only respect it but embrace it, appreciate you for it. And that's not as easy sometimes as people would think. And Jocelyn, ah, my favorite drink is a pineapple fizz, and it's one that my son actually created. It's real simple. It's just got white rum, dark rum, pineapple juice, a little shot of bitters, and some soda. And it sounds extremely simple, but it's not super sweet. So I can kind of, make it, put it in my tumbler, and kind of when I'm floating in the pool and dictating, it's something to sip on. And it's also great because it's refreshing rather than like, I love rum runners, but they're so cloyingly sweet that you can only drink a couple of them. And um, what drink do my main characters think? I think Jules is definitely a tequila girl. She got that because she probably got that from me. If I'm out and having a good time and doing the woohoo, then I'll do a shot or two of tequila. It's the straight tequila night type of thing. But on the good side, I've had my younger versions of the straight tequila night, but yeah. Destiny is more of probably a beer person. Noelle's definitely, from my Keyhole Lake series, is definitely a wine person. And yeah, I know my blinds are super bright. They're actually already shut. I might be able to maybe go up with them instead of down. Oh, there. That was much more helpful. Yes. Now I'm not being blinded. Awesome. This is my first live view, so I'm still learning all of this. And I picked my office to overlook the backyard and the pool so that I had something pretty to look at. And I didn't really think about the whole sun in my face thing. Hey, Connie. My mood changes, but the older I get, I want fun, quirky characters. Do I have any authors I enjoy reading or listening to? How do I choose narrators for my books? Choosing narrators for my books, I'll address that first because that is really hard for me. I typically put out feelers on the ACX, which is Amazon's back end for choosing, for authors to choose narratives, or on Findaway, which is kind of the wide version. My problem is that I have to step outside of how I hear the voices in my own head. Because when I was choosing the narrator for Keyhole Lake, for Sweet Murder, which was the first series that I had narrated, none of them were right. I went through like 20 or 30 samples, and I was like, none of these sound like Noelle. And then, a good friend of mine said, you know what? Nobody's going to sound to you like she sounds in your head. You're going to have to pick somebody that sounds similar to what a person like her would sound. And Jules was kind of the same way. I ended up having to go with an older voice. And so I'm still trying to pick out narrators for a couple of my other series. And I'm actually considering doing my own narrations. And as far as any authors that I enjoy, I love Tegan Maher. I love Regina Welling. She has this witch called Clara. It's Clara and Mag, and they're sisters. In her, oh my goodness, the name of her, the Balefire Witches. That series is hilarious. If you get a chance to read that, definitely check it out. And I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, I kind of. Emma Adams. I love her urban fantasy series. She has great books. Her thing is that she's great at the storytelling end of it. I guess that's kind of a common theme across the board. Is I need somebody who can draw me into the story. I need depth. I need characters that don't do stupid things. Jocelyn, I get inspiration from pretty much everything. People are like, I don't understand, how do you pick, your victims? How do you pick who's going to be the person who kills them? And for me, it is so easy to to pick Yep, you're getting murdered in my next book. Like that rude person in front of you in line or the one that cuts you off in traffic. Yep, you just made the list. You're going to be the next one that gets taken down. And inspiration besides that follow up. That was just what I was saying. And a lot of times, weirdly, people will show up in books. I don't plot. I'm not a big plotter, but I have a general idea of where the story is going to go. And so a lot of times the person who's going to get murdered in my book is completely different in my mind when I start than who she actually ends up or he ends up being. And the same thing happens with the murderer. I don't want to miss anybody here. And as far as inspiration for my books, I have a lot of my author friends, not a lot of them, but several of them who kind of hit bumps. They're like, man, I'm just out of ideas. And I have more ideas right now. If I were to never have another idea, I would still have enough books that I wouldn't be able to write them all in my lifetime. It's random stuff. I'll look at an old house and say, wow, who owns that? And this person will pop into my head fully born. Okay. Yeah. She lived here in the 1800s and, she had ghosts and her one ghost was her grandmother who was telling her, it just goes on and it's everywhere. I'm the only profession where you can invent having voices in your head without people trying to chase you down with a butterfly net. Yes, tequila's a good. I love margaritas. I started with just regular margaritas, and then when I was bartending, I learned to make, the true to life margarita. The original recipe margarita. That's just lime juice, simple syrup, tequila, and triple sec. So the way that they make margaritas down here a lot are suited to tourists. They're expected to be that frozen syrupy, that kind of stuff. I have a bar at my house and kind of make my own when I want a margarita now. Okay, so we're waiting on a few questions rolling in. I would like to talk to you about a couple of upcoming series, and I would also like to the fine young lady in this side who has joined us, Jennifer. She reminded me about my blinds. She knows that because this is her kind of second home. She's in West Virginia right now, but she's actually getting ready to move down here, and she has been with me since the very beginning. She is through and through, and I get a little teary, talking about it because through thick and thin, she's always been there. And I can remember way back when I was first starting writing, I'd call her and say, man, I'm trying to think of a funky way to kill this dude. And she would throw out stuff like bash him in the head with a toilet tank lid. and we would just joke. And we've always had kind of that relationship because we have similar, senses of humor. So she'll throw out all this fun stuff and we bounce ideas off each other. And she was actually my co-writer with the Shot of Midlife Magic series. Those books would not be what they are today without her ideas. And she also is like me, and she has a little bit of road rage and just a little dab of spite, the little sassy, yep, you were mean to me, you're going to die in one of our next books. But she's also going to be co-writing with me on the next two series. She's going to be with the Gulf Coast Reaper series and then with my Rebel Souls series. And so, yeah, pardon me for getting a little teary up there, but she's the one person who's stuck with me through thick and thin. She's always there. I know all I ever have to do is just pick up the phone. Right now, which of my characters is most like me? That is actually that's a cool question because Noelle has a lot of me when I was that age. She and Shelby are super close, and she kind of took on the role of having to raise Shelby. And I'm not saying I had to do that with Jennifer, but we were pretty much that tight, and we both loved horses, and we had horses, and we lived in this small town, and where you're kind of, family's everything in a place like that. Family, close friends. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and I don't necessarily believe that's true, but I do believe that the neighbors should absolutely be able to jerk a knot in your tail and send you home if you're doing things badly, if you're not being a good kid. And of course, people have changed now. People aren't the same now as they were then, but so Noelle's me at that age. Destiny is the bartender me, and Jules is me now. If you gave me magic and my own tiki bar, I would be Jules right now. And do my ideas come at once, or does it usually take a little while? They usually start as a flash. And then if it's something that really catches my eye, catches my attention, I will sit even when I'm driving or when I'm shopping, which makes me look like the, distracted old cat lady, dog lady, but they'll flesh themselves out in my head, and then I'll come home, and I'll start writing them down, or I'll even start dictating into my phone some of the ideas so that I don't forget them, because they are never the same once you have gotten your mind off track and have forgotten what you were talking about, what you were thinking. And so a lot of those stories, sometimes stories are really hard for me to flesh out. I'll get that general burst, but then it's like, okay, now what? The Mila series, my Witches of Abaddon's Gate series, that was kind of hard for me because I had this great idea, and the thing with cozy mysteries is you have to have a mystery. Well, Mila's stuff kind of, like my Southern Soul Hunters series, which is coming out, here soon too. Oh my goodness, all these new series. They're more urban fantasy because I kind of lean toward urban fantasy. So, I'll start writing, and, I'll be 3 or 4 pages in, and I'm like, there's no mystery here. This mystery doesn't work. And like characters I wish I could do over or change. Absolutely. That would be the Mila series, the Abaddon's Gate. Not because I would want to redo it, but because I would like to restructure it into a more substantial. I hate to say I'd like to flesh her out more. She is a lot more. There's a lot more to her than just the little potion shop owner. And she's also one of my 3 foxy sisters, that have the foxes for familiars. And I think if I could go back and change, that's one thing that I would change, is I would give her a bigger story. And something we haven't touched on really is my Paranormal Artifacts series. That I forgot all about that because she's new. I've only written a few books in that series, and I'm currently, that one's on the kind of back burner. I'm writing it as if I get bored or stuck with the one I'm working on currently. She and her best friend live in, of course, a seaside town, and the premise is that they went out diving one day and found this chest. A hurricane had gone through it, blew, changed the landscape underneath the water, the sand and everything, and they found this chest full of cursed objects. And through a completely my luck situation, all these objects got set loose on the town. And so now they're killing people. So she has to find, she and her friend Eli have to find all the objects as quickly as they can. And there's also a little bit of a romantic element in that one too, with an enigmatic, good heavens, as an author, you would think I'd be able to speak, with an enigmatic man. Nobody knows quite what kind of magical creature he is yet, but he's definitely kind of got a thing for Jules, and Jules is kind of attracted to him. So we're fleshing that out. And yeah, as far as anything else, we are hitting the about 25 minutes. And I really, really, really would love to answer anything else that you guys have. Can you think of anything more that you'd like to know about me? Oh, so before I say anything else, I have to let you know that we are working hard on merchandise because Tim, who I've mentioned, he's my boyfriend, is working very hard on designing cups. Regina Welling did this one for me, but he's got a really cool one designed for my Shot of Midlife Magic series, and he's doing T-shirts and stuff too. So here's our thing: if you have any good quotes from my books that you think are hilarious and will be great on a T-shirt, please, please, please let me know about those. You can contact me, by email or by my Facebook or even on one of these chats here. With the video, please let me know. And you can also highlight it as a favorite saying in your book, and I can actually see those. So he's dying for ideas for quotes and whatnot to put on books. Connie, have I met Patricia Briggs? Sounds as if her first love is her horses. I see your trophies. Oh yeah, those are a combination of mine and my son's. He was actually, I don't know if you can see it, but he won that. That's my son's saddle. He won it barrel racing, but I do not know Patricia. Her name's familiar to me. We've never met personally, but I really like to because we share that love, and it's hard to find people anymore who are horse lovers. Most people go, "Oh yeah, they're cute. I like to feed them carrots," but nobody that really, yeah, let's go riding. My sister Jennifer, who I was just talking to, and my son are both. They have more natural talent for horses, like right here, than I have in my entire body. They always have. They can get on a horse and just the horse automatically loves them. And Jocelyn Ben wants to. My son's billionth second is coming up. Be sure not to miss that. Oh yeah, absolutely. He's Jocelyn is another. She's joining me, and we actually chat back and forth. She helps me. I'll bounce an idea off of her and say, "Hey, do you think she'd be like this? Do you think this would happen in this book, or what do you think of this book for next? How do you like these covers?" So she's a real sounding board for me too. Authors, I think, have. I don't know about authors in general. I know me in particular. I often get. I kind of have this little rush of insecurity. So I have a few of my readers that I really like to bounce things off of. And if you guys notice, I'm starting to do the polls on YouTube because it's really important to me that I write stuff that not only I love, but that you love. And I feel that, having your all's input, that's not just a way to interact with you. That's a way for me to really kind of chart my course because I write my books primarily. I mean, yes, it's a source of income. I am very fortunate to be able to do what I love for a living, but it's also I want to provide value to your life, and I want to make you laugh or make you smile or maybe make you cry a little bit because I want to touch those emotions. I want to make your life better. So that's y'all's input is really important to me. So that's why I ask so many of those questions. Um, okay. Goodness gracious. It's like is it like a Super Bowl party? Did I get, am I Super Bowl thing party level now? Is that because I've been so nervous and I am so glad like I don't have any of my audio equipment or video equipment. You can see things are a little grainy and I don't sound that, the sound isn't great, but Tim and Jennifer and Regina Welling, they just kind of, you'll be fine. Just do it. A Tegan watch party. That is so awesome. Now my head's all blown up. That's awesome. Everybody's going to have to get together, at some point. I'd love to do like a author's lunch, or not just an author's lunch, just a lunch where I can get together with everybody and meet everybody in person because, I interact with you all through all this stuff, and it would be great just to sit down and look at everybody eye to eye. So Um, I guess we are getting close to the half hour, and I don't want to bore you guys. Is there anybody? Are there any more questions that you might have for me? If not, we'll go ahead and get ready to lunch for virtual margaritas. That is a fantastic idea. That would be great to do like as a Zoom where everybody can kind of participate. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Like a Zoom meeting where we could, all like talk back and forth and actually, you know, interact rather than just me sitting here and you guys over in the side column? Yes, Zoom happy hour. Let's do it. I will actually, I'll think about scheduling one of those because I have my Patreon where I do Zoom meetings, with some of my members, with, the members on my Patreon. But I've been thinking about doing a live reader, a YouTube Zoom, because I think I can. I'm kind of technically impaired. So I'm still working on it. My sister's moving down here. Jennifer's moving down here. So when she's here, she'll be a lot more likely to prod me. And she's going to say, no, get out of the pool. It's my turn. You go work. And stop hogging the pool. She is so much better than I am because she'll get in the pool and actually exercise, whereas I make it drink and float and dictate and write my books. So, yes. Oh, hey, Terry, you're smiling too. Okay, awesome. And let me think about figure out how to do the Zoom happy hour. Um, I've got y'all in the comments over here, so I will keep track. And this was this ended up being a small live stream, and I'm really glad that it did because you guys have just you've made me a lot more comfortable. I spent the first half hour until Jennifer told me to close, not the first half hour, but the first part of it blind because you know. Okay, that's a perfect example of why I need my sister. If you wonder why I'm excited for her to move down here, she's the one that'll keep the sun out of my eyes and say, hey, nitwit, turn your blinds up. So, if there's not any more questions, I will let you guys go. And I really do appreciate you joining me. It was fun. I just like anything, the first time is always so scary. My brain is neurotic, and I have stressed out about doing this all day. And Tim's kind of one of those, I don't know if you've seen the John Wayne bit where the kid says, "I don't know how to swim," and he says, "Well, how old are you?" And the kid says something like, "I'm 9." So John Wayne picks him up and throws him in the pond. And that's kind of how Tim tends to do me. He knows that, I kind of need that extra shove just to do it. And I have a good time once I do. And hey, Daryl, I am glad you're loving the books. That's awesome. I really, I'm excited about uploading these to YouTube because it gives me a chance to actually interact with my audiobook listeners. It's easy to do that with your ebook listeners because, people respond to my email address in the backs of my books, or they join the newsletter, which is, you guys are welcome to too. But I have no real way of even Amazon doesn't give me, any kind of data about who buys my books. Basically I get a number and that's all I do. So there's not really any way for me to interact on a person to person basis with my audiobook readers. Hey, Rona, awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying them. Now, as far as everybody being here, do you actually, are you guys kind of cross over? Do you like to read the books along with the audiobooks, or do you specifically listen to audio? Um, like I said, this is all new to me. I don't have a chance very often until now to talk to my audiobook readers. So, I'm not sure. Oh, also, I have a question. Would you guys be interested in doing if I have several books that aren't in audio because they are so prohibitively expensive. That's I've already decided that like the super chats and the super chats and the super thanks, all that's kind of why I'm doing the YouTube is to try to kind of make a little bit of money to get the rest of my books in audio. The Keyhole Lake series isn't finished. The Enchanted Coast series isn't finished. It's actually tied up right now in exclusivity, so I'd have to buy out those contracts. So that's kind of what I'm doing with all the super chat stuff over here. Kind of one of not the main reason, but I'm thinking, okay, hey, you know what? Maybe now we can get the audiobooks in. But would you guys have a problem, or would you guys enjoy joining me for a live reading? Like I could sit down for an hour or so and share some of the books that I don't have in audio with you. Is that something you'd be interested in? And then I would, of course, I could put them up as content afterwards, so that you could each, you'd have an hour or so, which would probably end up being a couple chapters each. And awesome, awesome, Marina. Do you have a particular? I don't know if you're new to me or if if you know my series. Is there something in particular you would like me to start with? I have my Shot of Midlife Magic series is up. First two of those are up, but I have my Paranormal Artifacts series, which is the one where they found the treasure chest. I've got my what else don't I have in audio? Oh, my Southern Soul Hunters. That's a new series. I've got the first book written already. So is there anything in particular you'd like to hear from? Are we talking about witches and pirate ships, or what would you like to hear? Anything. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Oh, awesome. So you just don't see that. It makes me so happy to know that I'm reaching out to more people. Um, what do you guys think of the narrators so far? I have Merritt North is doing the Keyhole series. And oh, well, I guess that's the only series you're going to get Enchanted Coast. This Wednesday, you're going to get the first book in that series. So I guess, what do you think of the narrator? What do you think of Merritt North for the narrator for the Keyhole series? Oh, hey, Terry. Thank you. I'm glad. And I am really blessed to have you guys as readers. Thank you so much. Okay, good. You love her. I need to reach out to her and get more done. I just had a whole bunch of health issues, so I'm dealing with medical bills, which is kind of why the audios, I hate to discuss finances, but the audio is anywhere between $1,200 and $2,500 to have one done. So, I got to get back in contact with her because I want her to do the whole series, but I can't unless I win the Powerball. If I win the Powerball this weekend, then I'll just pay for all my audio. Yeah, see, that's the one thing. I have one series that's also narrated, partially narrated. I don't care for the narrator. And I've always wondered, does it bother people? I'm actually considering doing some of my narration myself, dipping a toe in those waters. But I'm so afraid that if I can't get a hold of Merritt, if she's not booked anymore, because it's been a couple of years since she did those books, and I'm not even sure if she's still a thing. How much does it bother you guys if somebody does switch narrators mid-series? Is that a horrible sin? Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. It kind of keeps the connection. It would be like to me, it would be kind of a shock. I'm not a huge audiobook listener, but the ones that I do listen to, like some of the Nora Roberts ones, I wish she would stick with the same narrator because it's a little bit of a shock every time because I kind of get how her characters sound in my head. So I promise you guys that I will do my very best to, to not switch mid-series if I don't have to. And also it is very helpful to me when you guys comment in this, because I have a lot of people that, hey, love it, love the narrator, hate the narrator. So, but that's all a lot of good feedback for me. It kind of gives me a direction. Hey, maybe I should have her narrate this series too. Yeah, it takes a bit to get back to, Terry. I absolutely agree with you. And I'm kind of the same with the Nora Roberts books. And it really actually annoys me because like, I love the books. But I'm like, just pick a narrator. And so, yeah. Okay. Well, anybody else have any other questions? Oh, where's everybody from? I didn't even think to ask. I know Jennifer's in West Virginia. Jocelyn travels, so she's one of those North people. Uh, she's the northern South. That's kind of Jennifer. She and Jennifer are both the northern South. So we've got North Carolina, Connecticut, close to Knoxville. Knoxville's a beautiful city. I was in New Haven, Connecticut here a few years ago. We went to, oh shoot, we took a ferry to an island over there, and I can't remember. Darn it, it's been so long that I can't remember the name of the island. England. Oh, you are on my visitation list. We're planning a vacation next year, and we're going to do England and Ireland and hopefully Scotland. Those are our main things for next year that we're really hoping to get to. What part of England do you live in? The country, or do you live in a city? And that's going out to Paulette. Oh, Appalachian, Ohio. Yep, I love the Appalachian Mountains. You guys should just about be getting to where your rivers are warm enough to swim in. I used to remember, when we were kids, because being from West Virginia, we'd go to the river, and if it was 65 degrees, we were swimming in it. And now down here, it's like, oh my gosh, the ocean's only 75 degrees. It's too cold to get into. And just like, you just got to take that plunge. And Appalachian, Ohio, South Carolina. Oh, hey, Brandy. South Carolina. I just drove through South Carolina here not too long ago, and I got stuck in one of your all's loops. Jennifer and I actually came down through there. We were driving home from West Virginia, and we got lost driving in, oh my goodness, I can't remember. It was one of your major hubs. We did an 18-hour trip straight through. And we got stuck in this loop. We couldn't get out. And then we ended up in this really bad section of town, and out of gas, of course. Oh, Sunderland, New England. Oh, Northeast New England or Northeast England. I'm sorry. So you're kind of up. My geography is terrible. You're up closer to Ireland then? Am I right on that one? Oh, hey, yes, D. Yeah, I'm working on it. We're uploading content right now, once a week, and I'm going to be doing these live streams. And I'm going to be doing. I'm not sure if you guys were here for the here earlier when I was talking about doing the live readings, the ones that aren't in audiobook. So far, I'm going to start doing a live reading once a week where I'll sit down for an hour and I'll read a couple chapters out of something, like I'm probably going to start with my paranormal artifact series, or I might start with my Witches of Abaddon's Gate series. It won't be the same thing as having it narrated, but right now, until I can get them all in audiobooks, I'll stream them together so that you have it, you can just follow one from the other. And I'll try once I do the live stream, I'll try to cut out the talking, the chatting in between, so that it will actually be more of a book that you can listen to straight through. Who else do we have? Okay, Daryl's in. Oh, Daryl. Okay, Swarthwick, New England. Jocelyn Pacey East. Oh, near Scotland. Okay, so I have to ask you this. Do you watch Outlander? Because I'm a huge Outlander fan. Jennifer and I'm talking to everybody, but I see Daryl's from near Scotland. Because if you watch it, I want to know how close to accurate like the terrain is. And, of course it's back in the 1700s, so it doesn't look like that anymore, but is it pretty close? Oh, I just love the witches. Yeah, I do. I actually tried to write a non-witchy cozy series, and it's my Haunted Lodge series. It was supposed to be about this girl that moves to a new town, and she buys this rundown, bed and breakfast. It was way back when I first started writing, and daggone if the place didn't end up being haunted. It's like I can't do anything that doesn't have paranormal in it. Somehow magic manages to seep in. Keyhole, okay. Oh, the Keyhole Lake Witches. I thank you. I like to, everybody's like, I'll have people tell me, oh, I don't read paranormal books. I don't read I don't like any of that kind of stuff, but they like regular cozy mysteries. So I'll say, well, they're not really like that. They're not, they're more just regular people who have magic versus, you know, some of my other witches who actually will, smite you. Oh, I haven't gotten to read books. Daryl, I haven't gotten to read the books yet. I have the first one back here on my shelf, though my video is so fuzzy you can't see it. Um, I do the books follow the series pretty closely because I've had people say, yeah, they absolutely do. And then I've had other people say, no, forget it. I've read the books. I can't watch the series. It's terrible. Um, Jennifer and I actually, with Outlander, I'm sorry, I skipped around. Outlander. Um, I hate that they're releasing them one episode at a time and that now they've split up the season again. It makes me insane. I'm a binger. Just give it to me and I want to sit down for 12, 15 hours and just watch it. Just love the witches. I'm sorry I keep pausing. I've got this little, I have to look at the chat box so that I don't miss anybody. And it's so, it's so cool that I have that you guys join me from everywhere. And it just seems so strange to me. The first time I ever got a newsletter, or excuse me, an email from a reader that said, "Hey, I love your books." It was so strange to me because that was a stranger who read what I had put out into the world. And it was, I know it sounds weird because yes, of course, people were reading my books that I didn't know, but actually communicating with one. I think that's why I like talking to you guys now, because it kind of gives me, it's always good as an author to remember that there is somebody on the other side of that page. I think that once you stop writing, once you forget that there is somebody else that you're actually writing for, I think that's when your characters kind of lose their flavor, because I have to tell you what's in the world. I have to describe to you what the character's thinking, what she's doing, so it's important to me to maintain this kind of connection with you guys. So thank you very much, all of you, for being that out there for me and for commenting and contacting me and joining me for these things. Okay, so yes, Daryl, books are on audio as well as on YouTube. Books. Oh, I didn't know the books were on YouTube. Holy cow! I will definitely have to go check those out. Then, thank you. Had no idea. And D, I'm glad I'm glad that my writing, grabbed you. It's always good because especially when I put a new series out, a new book is always stressful for me. I always worry, what if it's horrible? What if people hate it? A new series is, Tim and Jennifer, they kind of laugh at me because they're like, you've done this 50 times. Why are you freaking out about it? And my question is always because, what if they hate it? What if it's not as good as the other ones? What if I didn't do it this time? What if I lost the magic and people are going to hate it? And so it's nice to hear that that you guys love it. I guess I just need the feedback, the hand holding. What other genres do you all read? I know I like a lot of witch cozies. I absolutely tore through them before I started writing. And now I've kind of faded over into the paranormal women's fiction, urban fantasy. My grandmother was this little church going woman that was as round as she was tall. She was your quintessential grandmother. And she had these books, these shelves and shelves and shelves of romance novels. And I started, I stayed the night at her house one night, and I read one of them, and it was an historical time travel romance. That's when I was hooked. I was also extremely shocked to learn that my little Christian quiet grandmother read bodice rippers. And that was the day that I learned people read books to escape. Mysteries, historical romance, time travel. Yeah, see, the time travel Oh, I love Agatha Christie stuff too. I actually just recently found some of her stuff on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but I saw that somebody has published some of her stuff. And yeah, the time travel just gets me. I don't know what it is, whether that was because it was the first actual adult book that grabbed me, but just the idea of being able to, step back in time and witness the Civil War, or, we always ask, you know, a good question of mine is, if you could go back in time to, say, medieval times where you have the knights and stuff, what are four things that you'd take with you? And, I want to say silly things because, you start thinking, okay, I need antibiotics, I need toothpaste, I need, all these things that you have to take with you. I think probably my biggest thing would be Advil. I would take at least 2 bottles of Advil because, you ration it, like the big giant bottles that you get at Walmart, because I go through so much of that stuff. I joke, I live on Rage, caffeine, and Advil. Rage, not so much. Sometimes. My dad took me shopping one year and I'm sorry, guys, I am blind as a bat. I have my contacts but I can't read. I've had glasses since I was 4. So when you notice me squinting, it's because I'm trying to read the comments. Apparently, YouTube does not let me make those bigger. Um, was it the book had to have a man without a shirt? Yeah, I know. But that's how you could always tell they were going to be good ones. And back on the other side of but now that I'm an author, that's what actually, when we go to cover sales in Facebook, that's what people call them, as man chest covers. Connie, don't care for a lot of cursing, and love scenes should be left to the imagination. That seems to be kind of a common theme. I have a split of readers who don't mind the cursing, and as a bartender, sometimes a bartender, or just a down to earth regular person in a certain circumstance wouldn't, kind of a gray swear is kind of what they would use. So sometimes I'll throw one in. I try to avoid too much language in my cozies. Some of my paranormal women's fiction books might have a little bit more in it, but I will be honest, you will probably never have hot and heavy sex scenes in any of my books because I have no idea how to write them. I tried. Back when I was editing, one of the girls said, "I'll pay you an extra $100 if you'll write this sex scene," and it was awful. It was terrible. It was awful. Nobody should ever have to read any sex scene that I ever write. I'm bad at it. So you won't ever have to worry about seeing that. And, references to it, yes. Probably in an actual scene, probably not. Oh, yeah, that's right. Willow tree bark. That is true. For the aspirin. Yes. And I know there's a lot of other stuff. There Books, maybe. Books were so expensive back then, but then what I need is one of those Hermione Granger bottomless bags, so I can just take everything. It doesn't weigh anything, and I can put whatever I want to in there. So, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and close it out for the day. And again, I really do appreciate you joining me. It was scary and traumatizing, but now once I actually got into it, it was awesome. I really appreciated getting in there. Oh, Paulette, you like the paranormal mysteries, you like the Keyhole Lake, and oh yeah, I'm sitting here, squinting like a little gnome, and yeah, okay, at least I'm not the only one. I am seriously, if I take my contacts out, everything is fuzzy. My eyesight is horrible. I had glasses when I was 4, and it's gotten progressively worse as I've gone. So, yes. And I'm glad you're enjoying the books. Again, I really am. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the audiobooks. I wanted to make them. Times are hard, man. Audiobooks are expensive. ACX, and I know you like Audible, all the other places. I can't set my prices on most of those sites. There are very few sites where I can set my own price. And I thought, you know what? Let's try YouTube, because I had a lot of readers saying I'd love to listen. I have several blind readers who use, I guess, the AI on their laptops or on their phones to listen to it. And AI is, I tried it just to see what their book experience was with it, and it was terrible. So I it's hard to send just, like raw files to say, here, here's my audiobook, you can listen to it. It's really hard to get that conversion. So I thought, you know what? Everybody can listen to YouTube. So here we are. Oh, you've witnessed paranormal, D. What have you seen? We grew up in a haunted house, so I want to hear what have you witnessed? Has anybody else seen anything haunted? My sister and I, the house that we grew up in was haunted, and the first time that we actually saw a ghost, we saw it together. It was this big um, worker, like a blue collar worker. He was dressed in work clothes, and he went into our bathroom. We were in the same room. He went into the bathroom and just never came out. The bathroom was there was a hall in between our rooms, and the bathroom was at the end of it, where we could see the door. And that was our first experience. And we had a lot of other really weird things happen in that house. Some of them were okay, like our keys would get hidden, and little things like that. And then some of them were not so great. The laundry room in that house is, my niece lives there. That is still terrifying. I will not go into the laundry room. Ah, thank you, Paulette. I'm glad that you're enjoying that. Oh, floating candles at your grandma's wake. Really? And the dreams that come true. I've been reading a little bit into dream theories and stuff, and I have a lot of opinions about dreams. I think that because we don't use a whole lot of our brain. We don't use, I mean, yeah, we use every section, but there's so much stuff that's untapped in there. If you think about it, 100 years ago or 200 years ago, modern medicine would have been considered magic. So, flying cars or even regular cars, that would be magic witchcraft. So now maybe what if some of the stuff like the dreams coming true, or, other paranormal stuff that people say that they can do, what if that's just our, you know, modern medicine? What if that's how it works out to be? So, okay, well, guys, it is 6 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock here. And I know that, oh my goodness, for those of you guys in Europe, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's 11 o'clock or midnight for you all over there. So it's getting really late. I really appreciate you joining me. I know well, unless you're like me, I'm a night owl. 11 o'clock is when I'm waking up and ready to go. Mornings, not a morning person. Morning, people will say, call to make a doctor's appointment. Can you be here at 8 o'clock? I'm like, that's the middle of the night. Not 8 o'clock so much, but like 5 o'clock, that's the middle of the night. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to be doing a live book reading. I'll be doing that. Let me see, today's Monday. I'll probably be doing that Friday or Saturday. Thank you very much, Dee. And bless you back. It was, many, many blessings to all of you. It's been an awesome afternoon, and you have really helped. I was torn between being scared 500 people would show up and being scared nobody would. So you guys were perfect. You kept asking me questions, and I didn't have to sit here, with dead silence, being really awkward. So again, I appreciate your time. I look forward to uploading more content, and I'll let you guys know when I'm going to do the live reading stream. And I will also be doing more of these. So if we just want to hang out, have coffee, maybe think of some other questions or topics, and let me know in the comments below. And also, I cannot forget, please like, subscribe, comment. I think you guys are all subscribed, and you also comment. But my tech guy says, don't forget to ask people to subscribe. So I did. And anyway, you guys keep it magical. I hope that every day of your life is that way. And thank you so much for listening to me. Peace out for now. Oh, wait. Sorry about that. Connie, what's the safest way to send money and most profitable for the author? Someone said YouTube actually does. They grab 30% for the super chats. The buy me a coffee link in my you'll find that in my bio, the original for the page, and then underneath each video there's a buy me a coffee link, and that I get all but just like 2% of they take for an administrative fee. So the buy me a coffee is huge. I've got it set up so that I can maybe help get more of these put into audio and get the Enchanted Coast ones that are in locked up into exclusivity. I'd like to get those out too. So yes, every little bit helps, Connie. And thank you so much for asking. I really, really do appreciate that. And I will actually add that into the chat. See, now look at me squinting again. There we go. And I messed up again. And again, thank you guys so much again for joining me. And I will see you guys the next time. Thank you.